This episode is brought to you by Mariachi Master Series. This is your moment to crack the code of harmony theory and musical storytelling in mariachi music, so you can go from good to pro in 11 weeks. For limited time, get the first 10 lessons for free. Make sure to download the app via Apple or Google Play Store.
Being disciplined is more important than being talented. Remember, we're mariachi musicians, but at the core, we're musicians, and music is music. The best players that I've ever been around in my life are not the people that have just grabbed an instrument and have a God-given talent. No, they're the people that work the hardest.
Hola, hola, yo soy Liz Hernández y esto es Mariachi y Más Podcast. Un aplauso. ¡Yay! Miren quién está aquí conmigo ahora. Adrian Vaca. Un aplauso. ¡Woo! Part 2, porque ya has estado aquí conmigo antes.
Sí.
En la temporada pasada, right? Season 2, right? Last year.
I
Yeah.
think it was first season, wasn't
Oh,
it?
no. First season, he's back for season 3. Un aplauso para Adrian. Yes, welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity, and a pleasure to be back with family.
Of course. If you guys don't know y no saben, Adrian is my brother. I'm just kidding. No, he actually is, but he just doesn't know it. I'm just kidding.
Could be.
Hey, you never know. You never know, but that's a different story and a different topic, right?
That's right.
So we have Adrian Vaca back today. Y como saben, este episodio, y no nomás el episodio, todo el programa en sí lo hago en Spanglish. Ya sé que muchos se molestan y les pido perdón, pero es que tengo que darle a todo el público. Muchos de nuestra audiencia habla solamente inglés. So, hablo mucho en español también yo, pero a la vez lo tengo que hacer en inglés porque las nuevas generaciones no hablan o entienden el español como tú y como yo.
Así es.
So, le tenemos que dar a todos. No se enojen, por favor. Acuérdense que pueden prender los subtítulos en YouTube o donde escuchen su podcast. Siempre hay subtítulos ahí. Tengo aquí a Adrian Vaca, como acabo de decir, parte 2. Y siempre es muy, muy especial para mí tenerlo aquí. Lo quiero muchísimo, lo conozco de muchísimos años. Pero en esta ocasión lo tengo aquí porque tiene un método que acaba de crear que tenía trabajando muchos años en el que se llama Mariachi Master Series. Sí. So, lo trajimos para que nos platique un poquito de su Mariachi Master Series. Y antes que eso, por si no te conocen, bomb.com. ¿Ok? Preséntate al público por si no te conocen.
Mi nombre es Adrian Vaca, músico de toda la vida. Ahorita soy integrante del Mariachi Sol de México del Maestro José Hernández. Y me siento muy afortunado de estar aquí y de tener esta oportunidad de contarles un poquito del Mariachi Master Series. Y aquí, como de nuevo, con mi hermana Lisa. Y quiero decir que para todos mis amigos, compañeros que viven en México, el Mariachi Master Series se van a hacer subtítulos, nomás que ahorita les explico que la mayoría de mis estudiantes y las conferencias que se dan aquí en los Estados Unidos, la mayoría de los alumnos ahora no hablan español y son primera, segunda, tercera, cuarta generación. Entonces, esto se hizo enfocado para los estudiantes que tengo actualmente. Entonces, he recibido muchos mensajes hablando de por qué no hay subtítulos, pero estamos trabajando en eso y pronto estarán listos y disponibles para ustedes.
Perfecto, pues ya aclaro eso para que sepan si está trabajando en eso. No más que no crean que es un proyecto así hecho de un día para otro. O sea, es un proyecto que les duró años en hacer, ¿verdad?
El Mariachi Master Series tiene 3 años que lo estamos trabajando. I'll say it in English, everything will, like you say, we'll do some Spanglish. It's been 3 years in the making, and really the Mariachi Master Series was designed and created for a young Adrian. Yo lo creé para un Adrián joven de 15 a 20 años que estaba buscando esta información de cómo adaptar la teoría clásica y de jazz a lo que hacemos nosotros día a día, que es la música del mariachi. So I designed this for a young Adrian that was looking for how to take classical and jazz education and theory and harmony and apply it to what our bread and butter is mariachi music. And it was hard for me when I was young and getting this, taking in all this classical information and the theory, and to see, well, how could I use it? And I'll give you a good example of it. It was like, well, I was taking, fugue and counterpoint and four-part writing and all of these classical techniques, the way that they teach it pre-collegiate and in the collegiate level. But it was hard for me to put it into what I was doing. And even though I was studying, classical music, I still couldn't write a mariachi arrangement. So, so that's why I decided to put all of this information that I've gotten over the years, put it in a nutshell and package it in this way so that everybody has all this information in their back pocket and can use it in their day-to-day and for their development as musicians and as future arrangers and composers.
So if you put it in a nutshell for them, you're giving it to them just like, here, this is for you, but how many years of education did that take you to offer all of your knowledge to these people?
Well, it's been a lifetime of work and education, and it's been academic education and also education in the sense of real-time on-the-job work.
Right.
I mean, I started gigging as a mariachi musician when I was about 8 years old, and I was fortunate enough to grow up with the Hernandez family and then in Maestro Jose Hernandez's school and around the Sol de Mexico umbrella since I was a young boy.
Right.
And so I feel very fortunate about that. And so it's been a combination of academic studies through the Colburn School and then at the Berklee School of Music. And then I did some studies at USC and the extension programs at UCLA as well. But really the combination of being on the court with it, gigging every weekend and being a part of many groups and many prominent groups, first and foremost Mariachi Sol de Mexico, which I'm a part of now, and working under some great directors and being exposed to some great mentors. So all of these things have come together, and I did my, what I thought was most important and what's helped me. I'll preface this by saying that the Mariachi Master Series isn't the only way, isn't the best way. It's simply my way and what's helped me.
Right.
And what I've seen has helped my students and other colleagues throughout the years. I've been teaching now for over 10 years, and I've seen a lot of my students come up, and, that's why I think it can be helpful for future generations as well.
And no matter, even though you have all those years of education under your belt already at the age that you're at, you still continue to work on your studies, correct?
Yes, I think that's something that's very important, is this constant seek and pursuit of knowledge. And lo digo también en español, que yo pienso que lo más importante es siempre tener buenos instructores, buenos mentores. Pónganse en los grupos donde puedan aprender, donde tengan un director que los pueda orientar musicalmente. In my case, I'm fortunate enough to be around, who I believe is the greatest director of all time, and that's Maestro Jose Hernandez. Now, there's a lot of great directors, and everyone has their merit.
Course.
And in my life, he's been, and I say this because Maestro Jose continues to take lessons, and he during the pandemic took lessons, and he has mentors, and he has an extensive listening list and an extensive listening palette, and so all of this stuff has seeped into my musical body, and I try to then pass this information on to future generations, to my colleagues, and to really, what's important is to never lose the passion for music and for mariachi. Like my wife, she tells me, like, how is it possible that you perform all night and then you come home and you still practice or you're still listening? Like, what is that? I said, it's something that we have in our hearts, and and so the combination of what you love and your passion combined with the mindset of education and knowledge in that pursuit is what takes people from being good to great to pros,
And we can do that in 11 weeks. Okay? 11 weeks from good to great. Yeah. But you know what? Right now that I asked you about studies, I think it was last year in 2023 when we were at the Nationals, because I'm always in the class, right? The Metiche. and you said something in there to the students that stayed. I mean, I'm not a musician, right? I mean, I don't play an instrument, but I have a good ear.
No, you
right?
are a musician.
Okay, well, thank you, but I'm not. You said something that stayed inside my brain, and when I let you said that, it came to me that you said, when I would hear the soul albums when you were starting to go to school and stuff, like you would hear them and you were like, wow, they're amazing. And then when throughout the years that you kept going, you would hear them again and you would hear different things in them, right?
That's exactly right. And that's the beauty of music. And then also, thank you for saying that. And also education, music education. That's why it's so important and so prominent, because I'll give you my experience and then why it's beneficial for all of you. Albums that I've heard hundreds of times, all of a sudden you're in your awareness. You're aware now of counterpoint and orchestration, all of these things, all of these techniques that I've learned throughout the years. And then you start to fine tune. And a big thing I talk about is the difference between leisure listening and analytical listening. Leisure listening, you put something on and you're cleaning the house, you're doing whatever.
Right.
Analytical listening is when you put something on and you focus on orchestration, you focus on foreground and background, and you focus on rhythmic counterpoint, and you focus on, maybe the recording elements of what's going on, so that your ears begin to get very fine-tuned. Para mis compañeros que no hablan inglés, la importancia de escuchar música, pero no solo escucharla, de ponerla en el ambiente, ¿no? Ambiental. No, pero de realmente una forma analítica de escucharlo. ¿Y qué es la orquestación? ¿Dónde está el contrapunto? ¿Dónde están estas cosas donde nos vamos de macro a micro? Quiere decir de escucharlo globalmente y luego meternos dentro de la grabación y de la orquestación y qué es lo que está pasando. A ver si podemos escuchar los voicings de los violines. A ver cómo, todas estas cosas.
Pero
¿no?
todo eso cambia cuando estudias. Obviamente, si yo me pongo el disco ahorita y lo oigo, lo voy a escuchar. Y si en una semana lo hago y no he hecho nada para aprender mejor, lo voy a oír igual.
Es todo a base de la educación.
Okay.
Y ahora, yo digo que el futuro del mariachi es, o más bien quiero decir, en mi opinión, que yo pienso que el músico profesional de mariachi ahora es un músico que graba música, que es maestro, que arregla y compone música, que tiene que vivir en diferentes ambientes.
Right.
Que yo pienso que es diferente a cuando yo era joven. I'll say now from the English only speakers, that now the professional mariachi musician is somebody that's in the recording studio, that's somebody that has to be very proficient in practice and rehearsal techniques, that's on the concert setting, that's also performing in backyard, so has to know rep
Right.
and be quick on their feet. That's also a teacher, that's also an arranger and a composer. So they're wearing different hats.
Right.
And all of those skills and tools and skill sets are brought about through music education. So again, the Mariachi Master Series was designed to give people a tool belt and an ample skill set so that you can, and also, Lisa, I think it's important to say that we love music and we love mariachi music. Why? We have a passion for it. But now let's talk about the other side of the coin about making a living, right? And making a living is a reality that we all have to deal with. Being here in Los Angeles, everything is very expensive.
God, yes.
We know about that, right? And so what does this give you? It gives you the ability to make money in different ways.
You could teach.
To have different revenue streams, which, again, is expanding what we can do with music, but also giving us a way of making a living.
Right.
And so how to become a better teacher, how to look at music through a different lens. What can I say about that too? One of my mentors, el Maestro Eduardo Magallanes, who I love dearly and who's been a shining light in my life, who also at 84 years old continues to take lessons during the pandemic. He decided to take a counterpoint lesson. This guy's written music for everybody, sold millions of copies of his music all around the world. doesn't need to be taking lessons. But again, the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of education is something that continues to nourish you. And that, como dice el mexicano, el que busca, encuentra.
What does he teach you? Everything?
Well, you know,
mostly.
Nowadays, we talk about production aspects. Okay. And I was fortunate enough to, the last year to 6 months of last year of Homero Patron, el Maestro Homero Patron, I was able to take lessons from him too. And it was really based on, production and how do you write for singers and what do your budgets look like? What does it look like for you to be in a studio? What type of gear do you use? And so all of these things are other facets, other lens to look through music in general and what it takes to be a pro.
Right.
I was talking about Maestro Magallanes.
Right.
And he says, in his opinion, the future of mariachi music isn't going to be in more orchestration. It's going to be in reimagining how to use strings, how to use voice, how to use brass, how to use the rhythm section. So what does that mean for all of you? Is that having a progressive mindset, and I'll come back to the music history element in a second, but again, reimagining the way mariachi sound. Maestro Jose Hernandez, my director, your uncle, a great example of this, reimagining how to use the mariachi ensemble, right? And he is somebody, again, that's always been a big believer in music education. 100%. You know, and that's taken him, look at where it took Sol de Mexico, look at where it took him. He took mariachi to another level,
right?
You know, because of his mindset and because of his reimagining this. And so that's also was a big catalyst and a big reason why we did the Master Series in the way we did. So to give everybody a skill set and then also to motivate and inspire younger generations and my own colleagues to, you know what, look at it through a different lens.
Yeah.
You can be the next person to do this.
Yeah.
You know, which is the way that I operate from and what I give my students is that, you know, set your bar high, like I said in the last our last podcast that we did together. Tírenle a lo alto. You know, all of you can, I'd like to empower everybody to think about themselves as you can be the next Nati Santiago. You can be the next Pato. You can be the next Jose Hernandez. You know, all of this. But what you need is not only your own creative element, but you need the skill set to do that. And I think that the Mariachi Master Series can help in that development for you.
Oh my God. We have so much to talk about the series, but I did also get questions from los seguidores me mandaron preguntas porque sabían, dude, Adrian Vaca is going to be here. So, vamos a hablar mucho más del Master Series porque para esto es este episodio, pero a la vez también las preguntitas que nos mandaron los seguidores. Claro. So, y ya sabes que están en español because you already know. So, la primera dice, ¿qué opinas de la tolerancia de los músicos con experiencia hacia nuevas generaciones?
La tolerancia de los viejos músicos a nuevas generaciones. Lo que yo puedo decir sobre eso, hablando de lo que quería decir de la historia de lo que yo sé de la historia del mariachi, es que desde los inicios siempre fue una música de fusión. Fue una música que tiene elementos prehispánicos, que tiene la armonía de Europa, que tiene ciertas influencias rítmicas que vienen from the African continent.
Right.
You know, so it's always been a fusion, a mixture, you know. Entonces, y cuando yo me estaba haciendo y estaba creciendo como músico aquí en Los Ángeles, muy afortunado de estar rodeado con tus tíos y de grandes músicos. Y había una forma de pensar que era cada toro en su corral. Ahora, yo no soy de esa mentalidad. Yo pienso que ahora los músicos, muchas nuevas generaciones viven en diferentes mundos. Viven en el mundo clásico. Algunos tocan música de jazz y también tocan la música de mariachi. Bien. Entonces, todo a base de la educación. Ahora, yo pienso que los músicos que yo admiro tienen una gran tolerancia para esas cosas y son muy abiertos de mente. Porque a veces yo pienso que el aspecto humano, hablando de eso por un segundo, es de que a veces le tenemos miedo a lo que no sabemos o las cosas que, a veces experiencias que son incomunes para nosotros. Entonces yo pienso que debemos de vivir de una forma de ser abierta de mente y de ahora que tenemos tanta tecnología a la mano, usar eso a nuestra ventaja, de escuchar diferentes músicas, de cómo los grandes arreglistas, productores, desde el maestro Rubén Fuentes, cómo él utilizó, y no nomás él en lo que él escribía, pero como él utilizó grandes arreglistas y compositores que vienen de la música moderna y que vienen de música de orquesta para escribir para Vargas.
Right.
¿De verdad? Entonces, cómo desde esos entonces, desde La Nueva Dimensión, los guapangos de Miguel, las cosas que realmente pucharon la música Spanglish para enfrente, desde esos entonces ya había mucha fusión y mucha educación. Entonces, esas personas a las que yo admiro tienen una gran tolerancia y yo pienso que es muy importante siempre mantener ese aspecto de ser abierto de mente.
Perfecto. La segunda llegó. ¿Dónde puedo comprar los LPs de tu papá? Ya tengo todos de Pedro Rey. Así pusieron.
Bueno, mi padre Manuel Vaca, él tocó, bueno, es un músico nato, como dicen, Ayutla, Jalisco, de ahí viene mi padre. Y a lo que tengo entendido, él tocó en la frontera en Mexicali y Tijuana por mucho tiempo. Se vino a los Estados Unidos, tocó con Mark Fogelquist al Mariachi Uclatlán. Mariachi Uclatlán, UCLA, se inició en UCLA, la universidad. Después que los hermanos Fogelquist sacaron el grupo de allí, empezaron a meter a mexicanos al grupo. Uno de ellos en los inicios fue mi padre. Y él era también cantante, se trató de hacerla como cantante profesional y grabó varios discos. Ahora, la pregunta es, ¿cómo conseguir esos discos? Pues yo creo que ya no se pueden conseguir. Yo los tengo y lo que tengo que es pasarlos a una forma digital. Y con gusto, cuando yo haga eso, con gusto yo los reparto para ustedes, para que también tengan una parte de la historia familiar mía para compartirla.
Oye, ahorita que dijiste eso, voy a preguntarte, a lo mejor puedo hacer un set de CDs de tu papá para un giveaway. ¿Cómo ves?
Yo pienso que fuera algo
cool.
especial para mí y también, ahora es de lo bonito de eso, ahora es que es de otra generación. El hablar, el de los temas de los que se tratan, del vocabulario que se usa, es old school, como dicen. Entonces,
la vieja escuela.
Nos pueden servir también a mi generación y a las generaciones, a los jóvenes, para tener otra
visión.
Y también un lazo a sus raíces, de dónde viene la música. I think it's important to say, too, a lot of the younger generations, the soreness and the songs that we play, some of they talk about, growing up on the ranch and this. A lot of us didn't grow up in that way, nor do we know the verbiage and the vocabulary that's being used. What do we know about growing up around roosters and horses and cattle and all this?
We don't.
So what I can say to some of you youngsters is that's the importance of Mexican Americans or Americans is, making sure that we speak correctly, that we know what we're talking about.
La dicción.
Claro. Es importante para nosotros como pochos hablar el español lo mejor que se pueda, saber lo que estamos diciendo, preocuparnos por la historia, por los cantautores, de dónde vienen ellos, de dónde vienen estos temas. Me fui un
fuiste
poquito
no importa, pero
por otro lado, pero yo pienso que es importante decir
sí.
estas cosas también.
Pero lo que... Okay, so I'm going to say it in English and in Spanish. So, ¿cuántos discos tiene tu papá?
Yo pienso unos 7 u 8 discos,
¿Neta?
algo así. Como,
You
él
have all
como
of them?
cantante, yo pienso que sí.
Okay, so cuando lleguemos...
Y algunos de ellos son con el mariachi.
¿Con el nuevo Teca?
Con el nuevo Teca.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so vamos a hacer esto so we can go on with the episode. Cuando lleguemos el canal del podcast a 1,000 suscriptores, van a haber reglas. So van a tener que seguir el podcast page on... You're going to have to subscribe, and also the Mariachi Master Series on YouTube. Van a tener que suscribirse a los dos canales para ganar una t-shirt. Nos van a regalar un Mariachi Master Series t-shirt and the set of Manuel, right?
Manuel Vaca.
Manuel Vaca's albums. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Okay? Perfect. Thank you. Yes.
Subscribe.
So subscribe. Okay, so the other day you posted something on your Instagram page that I'm going to read to you, and then I want you to talk to me about it, okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it says, people told me that I needed more talent to play in a professional group, that I needed more talent to play multiple instruments, and that I didn't have what it took to compose and arrange music. But I didn't start playing music because of what people said. I started because I truly loved it. Tell me about that.
You know, Lisa,
I was about to cry.
it makes me kind of emotional too to think about some of these things. But I think what's important for young musicians to hear is sometimes within mariachi and honestly in the Hispanic culture, there's limiting beliefs. It's like people want to see you small sometimes. Mm-hmm. A veces la mentalidad, desafortunadamente, dentro del mariachi en algunos aspectos puede limitarnos mentalmente y que nos pone fronteras para seguir creciendo. Now, I can say that had I listened to these people, I wouldn't have done,
half of what you've done.
Yeah, the things that I did. And so I think it's important to say that these limiting beliefs, we should do away with them. The people that I've been around that are most prolific are the people that work the hardest.
Right.
And that keep, I'm going to just say briefly, Maestro Hernandez, part of his genius isn't only his God-given creative talent. This is the hardest working man, one of them that I've ever been around. He is always writing, always practicing, always his work ethic is incredible. And a lot of people don't know that. They see him, in a different lens, but being in a close proximity, in a close relationship with him, I can tell you, being a hard worker is what's, part of his success. And so what I can say about that is that you have to be diligent in your work ethic, believe in yourself, not let these limiting beliefs keep you small. I'll tell you guys a quick story. So I remember when I was at Berkeley, coming home and working on a summer here with some local LA musicians. And one of the guys tells me, hey, what are you doing over there at Berkeley? I said, I'm doing film composing and, music arranging and composing in general. Mm-hmm. And he says, no, para eso tiene que tener uno mucho talento.
Can we get the person's name? No, just kidding. No.
And he said, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, he said, no, well, in order to do that, you got to have a lot of talent. And it broke me down. I'm thinking what? How can anybody say that to somebody that has ambition, that's trying to grow and trying to do something, What I will tell you now is that guy is a mechanic, okay? So whatever that says about that. So don't let people's own beliefs keep you small and keep you down. The only thing that's going to limit you is yourself. You keep working hard, you pursue mentorship, you pursue education, and you're diligent and you're consistent and you're disciplined. That's what sets musicians apart from mediocre to good to great. And so the people that I've been around that are the most prolific are the people that work the hardest.
And it all starts with the dream, but the key to progress is education.
I think so.
Oh, I know that was from your post.
I think so.
Okay, so let's go on to the next one. So I want to know, I got a lot of questions for the Mariachi Master Series. Why is harmony and theory taught differently for mariachi music than it is for classical music?
Well, really, in my experience, again, I'll say that this, I'm telling you everybody hear things through my lens, right? The way
Yeah.
young Adrian experiences, and Adrian, speaking myself in the third person, but it was created for that young guy. And so my experience was that growing up, academically, they teach you harmony and theory and music in general through the lens of classical music, through sonata form, through fugue, through counterpoint, 4-part writing, figured bass, you know, but yet there's a gap between how to use that and how to write a song, a mariachi song with it. And even when I went to Berkeley, like the jazz, what's great about the jazz approach is that they show you how to use these classical techniques through song form. And what do we do as mariachi musicians? We play and arrange and compose songs.
Right.
But even then, it was like, well, that's how the jazz guys use it. So it was left up to me to, okay, well, how do I filter this information and put it into what we do?
Right.
You know, and so it was difficult for me to gain access to this growing up. And even the way that mariachis, you've heard this before, say primera, segunda, tercera.
Uh-huh.
So I grew up thinking, okay, there's 3 chords in every key. Well, we all know that that's not true, you know, but nobody explained to me this is a way of viewing tonic, subdominant, dominant. This is derived from the modes. And had somebody explain these things to me at a young age when I started learning all, you know,
Right.
It would have made things a lot easier, and I would have gained access to the language of music a lot quicker.
Right.
So to answer your question is that academically it's taught through a very European, through a very classical lens. And what we're doing here with the Mariachi Master Series is putting it through a lens that's easily attainable, getting these techniques and putting them in a way that you can understand them through mariachi songs and the song form that we use.
Perfect. So the next one is, you kind of said it already, but just to give like a bigger answer, I guess. What promoted you to create the Mariachi Master Series? Why now? And what is the goal with it?
So over the last 10 years, I've been doing a lot of private lessons. And over the last 3 years, through Mariachi Sol de Mexico and Maestro Jose Hernandez, we get to go out and do a lot of conferences all over the country.
Right.
And see how many thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of mariachi students there are, which is, if anybody thinks mariachi music is dying, it is not. It is in full force and flourishing, okay?
Yeah.
And I can tell you that because I see young kids.
Our kids.
Yeah.
Our kids.
That's right. Miles Ray, my son Miles,
And my kids,
and both
yeah.
of your boys, younger generations
Yeah.
that still love it and that are keeping it alive and that are pursuing education. And so through my teaching and my exposure to these young musicians is what prompted this. Us thinking, my wife and I, Elizabeth, thinking about the Mariachi Master Series and how we can give back and how I can give back the information that I got. And also thinking about, again, like I talk about young Adrian,
Right.
and about how I would have loved to have this. Because I remember thinking, well, I would ask people, I want to learn how to arrange and how to write. They would say, well, you got to go learn harmony and theory. But then I learned the theory, and it's like, well, they're not teaching me how to write sones and how to approach guapangos, and how do I approach writing the ranchera?
Right.
You know, so that's what was the catalyst for this. And also being at the conferences and seeing the approach to mariachi education was a big one. Now, I talk about having one piece of a 10-piece puzzle. And what do I mean by that? Is that a lot of the times we're taught, okay, you're a first violinist, let's teach you your first violin part. And my approach and what I'd like to give, the way that I learned and what I'd like to give back is that, no, let's give the kids the whole puzzle. Let's teach the kids how to read a score. Now, what's the importance of this? And people will say, well, not everybody wants to be an arranger. And I say, not everybody knows that they want to be or don't want to be an arranger, which is different. You know, it's like a muscle that you start flexing. In the beginning, it's weak, but then it grows. And what I can say to everybody is that the pursuit of education will manifest itself in ways that you don't even know. So maybe you're not thinking like, well, I don't want to be an arranger or composer, but you might be the next big arranger or composer, or you might have a creative way of putting your creativity through a lens where you develop the vihuela into a new way of playing it, or the bass, or like I was talking about the modern mariachi musician, now they improvise on trumpet. And so you have to, okay, what does that mean? Well, I have to know what chord structure I'm playing over, and what, and how all of these things relate, and how do I transfer that to the strings, or to your trumpet, And so remind me what the question was again.
So that's what happens.
Oh, the about the score. Why do I think that that's important? Because
I love this guy.
Yeah, why do I think that's important? Because instead of learning one part, well, let's teach kids, take something as simple as El Rey and tell them, okay, well, this is how all three parts interact together. And this is how those three parts interact with the brass. And the brass, this is how they interact with the rhythmic counterpoint of what the rhythm section is playing. And this is how the adornos interact with the voice.
Yeah.
And so now the students are learning how all of these things are put together, as opposed to just learning. I talk a lot about musical blinders, and how we want to take those off so that you start learning how to interact in a global sense. And I will say that the best musicians that I've been around have this type of listening and hearing, listening, and this type of awareness that they know what's going on. People ask me, Maestro, well, ¿cómo puedo ser un cuerdero? How do I learn about formulating these different string parts on brass and on strings? How do I go about creating original voicings for the vihuela or the guitar? How do I learn how to be creative on the bass? All of this has to do with your understanding of how all of the mariachi elements are put together and how they interact with each other.
Okay.
So this is why I think, again, that's a great thing about the Mariachi series, is about the way that I think about music and the way that we all interact together, and giving the students the tools so that now you can start to experiment and be creative. That's another big thing that's exciting about the music, is how do you gain access to being creative with it? Right? How do you create your own voicings? How do you create your own music? And I think that that's also the future of mariachi musicians, giving the power to the student so then you can create the new arrangements, the new songs, the new voicings, the new approach, the reimagining of mariachi music. What do we need? We need new repertoire. We need new arrangements. We need, so that's what I get excited about, and I want to transfer that excitement, to the new generations so that they can have at least the approach that's worked for me.
Right. I get excited listening to you talk. I mean, let's be real. I don't know half of the things that you're saying because I don't play an instrument, but I'm like, yeah, it sounds bomb. And that's what my sisters were saying, what I told you earlier. Shout out to my sisters because they're your fans. They're like, he talks so good. But it's true. Like I'm lost, Right now that you said something, it brought back a memory of something that Jesus Guzman told me on his episode. What did you say about, I don't want to be an arranger? What did you say right now?
It's funny that you say that, because I was thinking just that. We're connected. I was thinking just that because everybody watched the podcast and subscribe. Okay. And I watched Maestro Guzman's, and he said, not the difference between not knowing not wanting to sing and not knowing that you're a singer, something like that.
No cantas o no sabes que cantas.
Okay, and that's the same thing that I think about.
When you said that, I was like, what the heck?
About arranging or being creative with music. Some people are like, again, they would tell me, no, well, you're not talented enough to do that, or no, that takes a God-given talent. I'm here to tell you that that's not true. That's not true. All of you have the same God-given talent that I have, that all the mentors that I have. The only difference is that sometimes we're lacking access, or you're lacking people to tell you that you can do it, and B, having exposure and access to the information, which is what I want to be an ambassador for, is that push to give everybody, not only to motivate them, but to give them the tools and tell them, hey, you can do this. Because had I not had people to tell me, hey, don't listen to what these guys are telling you, tú échale ganas, amigo. I remember being a young guy there at Cielito Lindo and picking up the bass and the vihuela. Hey, primero aprende a tocar el violín bien. Had I listened to those people, I would not be doing what I'm doing now. I can tell you. And I was like, well, I don't identify with that, but, you know, and then I had other guys, hey, no les hagas caso, amigo. Tú échale ganas and keep, agarra, si quieres hacer eso, agarra un buen instructor, agarra un profesor que te enseñe. And thank God I had those people to push me to get an instructor, to give me access to the information. And then it's left up to me to be disciplined and to be consistent and to make it happen for myself.
Which is exactly, and I always talk, I know people say I'm biased, but I mean, because I'm closest to Sol than any other group, right? Duh, my tío. But like, that's what I see en el grupo ahorita, en el Sol. Like, my kid's 19, right? And 14. And that's exactly what he gets from you guys. Like, oh, good job, mijo, keep going. You know, like, you guys hype him up, you know? And when it comes to teachers, like, you taught my kid for years. You were one of his first teachers. Like, he was what, 10?
Sí, estaba chiquito.
He was little. He's 19 now. And it's like, he's your height already. You're a little taller than you now. Yeah. And it's like, it's crazy to see what he's improved, right?
Oh my gosh.
Because we've invested in his education, right? And that's what you have to do.
Invest in yourself. And not only because I'm promoting my series.
No, of course not.
But invest in yourself. It's something that I continue to do. I continue to take lessons. Like I said, my mentors continue to take lessons. It's about putting yourself in the right positions, positioning yourself so that you can continue to grow.
Right.
And honestly, excuse me, that's where the fun comes in, and to being able to be expressive. Okay. So mariachi music, sometimes we want to jump to, pues, be expressive y a interpretar. Right. I think the interpretive aspect should be one of the last things that we do. We should learn a technical foundation, learn what's going on, learn what you're doing, making sure that we're rhythmically, all of these being accurate in so many different ways, and then now putting it through an emotional lens, you know, like that. And we jump to is like learn one piece of the puzzle and interpret. We're lacking the other 9 steps.
Right.
So this is, again, only my experience. My experience and only through my lens. And I do this for the benefit of all of my students and all younger generations and people that are really passionate about getting better about,
right.
You know, about getting better at music and getting better at mariachi music. And also, you know, great thing about access to information is that sometimes, again, about what you don't even know that you don't know, is sometimes we view ourselves as mariachi musicians. You know, view yourself as a musician in general. Take yourself, right. Again, sometimes they want to keep us small, like,
right.
Not to say mariachi music is small. That is not what I mean to say. But sometimes we box ourselves in. So when we begin to look at ourselves as musicians first and foremost, then all of a sudden it's like we're in a bigger ocean. You know, right. We're not in the lake anymore. Now you're in the sea with all kinds of musicians, all right. Musicians. When I tell my bass students, no te veas como guitarronista, vete como un bajista. Look at yourself not as a guitarrón player, as a bass player. All of a sudden now you're in the water with the Victor Woons, with the Jacques Pastores, with the Ron Carters. And if you don't know who that is, go check those people out.
Do your homework.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden you're in. People would tell me, like when I ask. So I'll tell you one thing. And I'll tell everybody else this. The only one good, not good trait. What's the word I'm looking for here? The one talent that I have is being persistent. Es de ser enfadoso. Es el único talento que yo tengo. Okay? And some of my colleagues will be like, yeah, it is. But I've always been persistent, and
you go for no.
And I'm always the metiche, asking. Anytime that you're around somebody that can help you, ask questions, okay? And through my pursuit of asking and inquiry, I would ask people about, let's talk about Nati Santiago, el padre del guitarrón, ¿verdad? And they would tell me, well, Nati would not only listen to all kinds of different musics, but had teachers and influences. I think, forgive me, I don't know his name, but they call him El Camarón is what I know. And that's the guy that used to play the bass for all the Jose Jose stuff.
Okay.
Incredible bass player. And this was a big influence on Nati, or at least was exposure to it.
Right.
And what do I mean to tell everybody by that? Or that the great mariachi musicians have been exposed to other great musicians that are outside of the mariachi genre.
Right.
So if I can pass that on to everybody, you know, open up your listening, open up your music palette. This is all going to enrich you and make you look at music in a different lens, and then look at mariachi through a different lens too.
Dang, this is like, I think we might have to do a part 2 on this because there's a lot. Like, this is awesome. So I'm going to ask 2 more questions and then give a couple of announcements. And then we're going to call it a day. But my next one is, what is the biggest thing that holds mariachi music back? More about their craft, achieving their dreams, investing in their learning. How can the Mariachi Master Series impact their career as a musician?
Okay, well, I'll answer about the Mariachi Series at the end of this. But the only thing that limits us is ourselves, really. And our lack of valuing education and mentorship and seeking that and putting ourselves, positioning ourselves to get better and having the discipline and the consistency and the work ethic to get us there. So the only thing that's limiting mariachi musicians are ourselves, really. And
not even age, because you started your road to composition when you were 6. You were in freaking first grade.
Well,
what?
Well, okay, you know.
Talk to me about that.
Okay, let me say, and this reminds me of something that I've been saying to my students over the last couple of months is, and again, a shout out to my director, El Maestro Jose. When I remember being young and being at the rehearsals with Sol de Mexico, and when they would do the big festivals where all 3 or 4 mariachis would gather at Cielito Lindo, and they would be, and Jose would be directing, and he would pinpoint out, oh, hey, that's a wrong note here, or hey, that chord is wrong. And
how do you hear that?
Okay, yes. No, I would, to me as a young musician, I'm like, this is magic. This is like, how did this happen? And I would, Maestro, no es nada del otro mundo, mijo. And I'd be like, what's going on here? And so, what I can say about that is that in my pursuit of education, I have come to the realization that he's been able to fine-tune his abilities and his listening and his skill set to where he's able to go from macro to micro. And I talk about this as well, about how you listen to things in a global and a general sense, and how you can get deep into one voicing and listen to one singularity and one part, And it's incredible what the human mind and the human body can do. And if we train our bodies and our mind to do things, they'll do things that are absolutely incredible, that'll surprise you day to day. I experience this. I'll give you one other example that I tell my students too. Sometimes we're in the studio and we're recording. For the students that can get this technical aspect of this. Every half step is broken up into 100 digital cents in Pro Tools, and Pro Tools is the recording software that we all use, right? And so
I know where you're going.
Half step is broken up to 100 digital cents, So you can all the microtones that go into one half step is vast. So you can see where I'm going with this. So sometimes we're recording, and Maestro Hernandez will be like, "No, that's like it's not completely locked in," and and you'll tell the engineer, "Boost this up 7 cents." 7 cents is nothing. For those of you that are following me, it's the micro movement of a finger, and I'll be like, how is this possible? And then they'll do it and it'll lock in. I'm like, what? And I ask them, what are you listening for? Like, how is your listening so acute? And he says, listen to the bass, to the G and the bass. Now listen to the G and the high strings and in the first violin. Are they matched up? Now are they matched? Take it off. Now put it back. Are they matched up? And okay, and they are. And so what I can tell you is that all of you can do this. All of you can do this. It's just a matter of, again, gaining access to the information and fine-tuning your ears and working and being disciplined and learning what it is that you need to do in order to grow your skill set and strengthen yourself, strengthen your musicianship. Give yourself enough time for it to seep into your being. And this is a long game. This isn't from day to day or week to week or month to month or even year to year. This is something where you're working. And after a year, 2 years, 5 years, people are like Gabriel, oh man, I go and play with him. It's like, I notice a big difference. But it wasn't people don't see us as musicians. People don't see all the time that we dedicate all the lonely hours when we're shedding on our instrument, or that we're dedicating to education, or when we're writing, they just see the end goal.
Right.
Okay, so keep working on yourself, keep working on your musicianship. Why the Master Series can help you is that it can help to develop and craft a way of thinking, a tool set, and a skill set that will make you strong or stronger musically, and help you put music through a different lens, so that you can gain creative access to the language of music. Because at the end of the day, Lisa, music is a language.
Yeah.
It's knowing. You and I are improvising right now because we know how to use and speak English.
Right.
It's the same thing with music. But sometimes I give the example of like the Padre Nuestro with my son. He recites it to me and we do it every night. But he doesn't know how to speak Spanish, and he doesn't know necessarily what everything means. Sometimes mariachi musicians are taught in that way, where they're operating on a very limited framework. And so what I want to give is a global framework,
right,
which will then give you more access, more creative liberty, and honestly make things more fun and expressive.
Right. And then your app is obviously available on Google and Apple. They go to the website, they download it. But for the Mariachi y Más listeners, we do have a special for you guys. So you would go to the app, go to private community chat, type Mariachi y Más, and we'll send you the beginner and pro startup kit. 3 music memory hacks. Also, they don't usually do this, but since they like me and they like my people, you are going to get... The first 10 people that put in Mariachi Mas on their listeners who unlock the full Mariachi Master Series tonight means September 15th, will get free one-on-one 1-hour private lesson with the Maestro, aka Adrian Vaca, aka bomb.com. So first 10 people, after this airs on September 15th, 1 p.m. LA time, you have until that night to go ahead and put in Mariachi Mas. First 10 people that get it will get an hour. And let me tell you, he taught my son a lot of years, and I invested money in my son through him. And let me tell you, he's worth every penny. Okay. So this hour that you are going to get with him, you're going to take so much out of that 1 hour. I promise you are. However, do it, invest in yourself, in your education, because you could be talented, but if you don't work on your craft and you're consistent, talent is not enough, right?
No, talent isn't enough. It's the most prolific players I've been around are the people that work the hardest. And this program in 11 weeks is going to get you from good to great. Okay? We promise you that. Do we have a guarantee? Yeah, right? We do? Yeah. Guaranteed.
Okay, we have a guarantee. Okay, so to finish off, what is the message you give our young generations out there starting in this beautiful genre of mariachi?
So the last message I can give to the students is that you have everything that you need. And in my opinion, you have the same ability that the greats have as well. The only thing that we need to do is position ourselves so that we have access to the information. And then once we get the information, that we're disciplined, that we have consistency, that we have a great work ethic, and that we work hard. Remember what I said about Maestro Hernandez. Part of his genius is his work ethic, and the guy, he works so hard. So take that with you. Every day, get up. It's like putting money in the bank. You don't see it day to day, but then at the end of the year, you see it.
Yeah.
So work hard. You know, don't ever lose sight of why you started doing this, and believe in yourself, and put yourself in the place to have educators and mentors that can help bring you up, and directors that can help bring you up. And I make myself available for all of you because I was one of you, and I continue to be a student and a lover of mariachi music. And thank you, Lisa, for having me today.
Thank you so much for being here. You know that I love you. You're thebomb.com. And don't forget, download Mariachi Master Series, and we will see you soon. Thank you. Bye.